Normandie, Lafayette. Ship mystery. On February 9, 1942, a fire broke out aboard the SS Normandie at New York's Pier 88. The French luxury liner, recently seized by the U.S. Navy and renamed USS Lafayette, was being converted into a troopship when flames consumed her. By the next morning, the ship had capsized into the Hudson River. Launched in 1935, Normandie was the largest and fastest passenger vessel of her era, known for its lavish Art Deco interiors. When war erupted in Europe, the ship sought safe harbor in New York. After the U.S. entered the war, federal authorities commandeered the vessel for military use. Conversion began in January 1942, but the process was rushed. Hundreds of workers, military and civilian, operated on board with minimal coordination. Key safety systems, including the ship's advanced fire suppression mechanisms, were shut down. Fire hydrants hadn't yet been adapted for New York hoses. At 2:30 p.m., sparks from a welder's torch ignited life jackets and burlap in the former first-class lounge. Workers attempted to extinguish the blaze, but it spread rapidly. The fire department arrived within 15 minutes, but the ship's interior was already engulfed. High winds accelerated the flames. Thousands of tons of water used to fight the fire caused the ship to list. Counterflooding failed, and shortly after midnight, Normandie rolled onto her side. Only one person died, a civilian worker, but over 200 were treated for smoke inhalation and injuries. Rumors of sabotage spread immediately. With Pearl Harbor still fresh in memory, many believed Axis agents had struck. Roosevelt ordered an investigation. The FBI reenacted the welding operation under controlled conditions. The test replicated the fire exactly, suggesting a tragic accident rather than deliberate sabotage. A Navy and congressional inquiry agreed. Poor coordination, inadequate fire protection, and pressure for speed were the primary causes, yet doubts persisted. In later years, an alternative theory emerged, that the fire was orchestrated by the American Mafia. According to post-war accounts, mob boss Charles "Lucky" Luciano was behind the incident. Though imprisoned, Luciano still controlled the longshoremen's unions via intermediaries. The theory claims Luciano authorized the fire as a show of force, to convince the Navy that only the mob could truly secure the New York docks. Soon after, the Navy initiated secret talks with organized crime. This collaboration became known as Operation Underworld. Luciano was moved to more lenient conditions and allowed to communicate with his men. In 1946, after the war, his sentence was commuted and he was deported to Italy. Officially, the fire remained an accident, but the mob's story gained traction over time. No criminal charges were filed, and the welder, Clement Derrick, was found to have no underworld connections. Still, some mafia informants later bragged they had done the Normandie job. Whether fact or bravado remains unclear. What is known is that the fire led directly to unprecedented cooperation between the U.S. Navy and organized crime. An alliance forged in crisis, cloaked in secrecy, and remembered as one of the most unexpected chapters in America's wartime history. Rudolf Hess Flight Mystery. On May 10, 1941, Rudolf Hess, long-standing deputy to Adolf Hitler, secretly boarded a Messerschmitt Bf 110 and flew solo from southern Germany across the North Sea toward Scotland. Avoiding British defenses under the cover of night, he reached the area near Glasgow before his fuel ran out. Parachuting into a farm field near Eaglesham, he landed with minor injuries and was promptly arrested. He introduced himself as Captain Horn, but soon revealed his identity and requested a meeting with the Duke of Hamilton, claiming he brought a peace proposal. Hess was convinced the Duke was sympathetic to a group within Britain opposed to Churchill and open to negotiations. The Duke, a loyal Royal Air Force officer and Churchill associate, denied knowing Hess. Still, authorities arranged a meeting. During the encounter, Hess offered terms similar to earlier German suggestions. Britain would retain its empire and, in return, accept German dominance in Europe. His proposal was rejected. Hess insisted the mission was his own idea, carried out without Hitler's knowledge. Without official sanction, the British dismissed him as a rogue operator. He was interrogated and placed under guard. For a time, he was confined in the Tower of London. Within weeks, Hess became increasingly unstable. On June 16, 1941, he attempted suicide by throwing himself down a staircase. He survived, but doctors observed signs of psychological decline, including paranoia, depression, and manic episodes. Churchill described the flight as a gesture of lunatic benevolence, a deluded effort by a man who believed he was acting nobly. British psychiatrists confirmed he was mentally disturbed, and officials concluded that his mission stemmed from personal fantasy, not policy. In Germany, Hitler was reportedly shocked and enraged. Eyewitnesses described him erupting in fury, concerned the flight would appear as a secret peace overture. Especially with the planned invasion of the Soviet Union approaching, Hitler publicly denounced Hess and declared him insane. Goebbels recorded that the regime moved quickly to control the narrative. The public was told Hess had suffered a mental breakdown. His name was erased from all official records and his duties reassigned. The leadership cut all ties. Even before the flight, Hess had lost influence to figures like Himmler and Bormann. Some believe the mission was a desperate attempt to reclaim his political standing. He may have hoped to restore his relevance by engineering peace. Historians largely agree Hess acted out of isolation and delusion. He was known to be fascinated by astrology, dreams, and esoteric ideas. He believed in imaginary British factions that would welcome him. Doctors observed patterns suggesting bipolar disorder and delusional thinking. Yet not everyone accepts that Hess acted entirely alone. One theory holds that Hitler secretly allowed the mission, using Hess as a disposable envoy. If the peace bid failed, he could claim Hess was deranged. In 2011, a Soviet archive released a document allegedly written by Hess's adjutant, Karl-Heinz Pinch, while in captivity. It claimed Hitler was aware of the mission and hoped for a deal with Britain to avoid a two-front war. This account remains controversial. Pinch's statement may have been extracted under duress, and the Soviets had incentives to suggest secret German-British contacts. Most German sources at the time described Hitler's reaction as genuine shock. Some claimed the Luftwaffe was ordered to shoot Hess down once the flight became known, though this was never confirmed. Stalin, meanwhile, believed British intelligence orchestrated the event. Soviet officials accused MI6 of tricking Hess into coming, possibly by forging letters in the Duke of Hamilton's name. If so, Hess may have been manipulated rather than delusional, yet no British files have surfaced proving such an operation. After the war, Hess was returned to Germany to stand trial at Nuremberg. He claimed memory loss, but was ruled fit to stand trial and convicted of crimes against peace. Sentenced to life imprisonment, he was transferred to Spandau Prison in 1947. He remained there alone for decades, the last remaining inmate, guarded in rotation by US, British, French, and Soviet personnel. In 1987, at age 93, Hess died, officially by suicide, though suspicions linger. He never explained his motives, and his flight remains one of World War II's most enduring enigmas.